Jesus Christ, can a lady get a breath?
Evidently not.
Evidently not. Welcome back, Caroline. They don't want us to go a single day without thinking about Saturday Night Live, and they're
It's working.
accomplishing it. Yeah. Welcome back. How was your evening?
Yeah, my one day.
Yeah.
You know, it's fine. It was -8, I think, when I got up this morning and went to work. So very cool.
Oh, I was surprised we were back in the 20s because the sun was actually shining, and I was like, oh, maybe no. But -8 is bad. Oh my gosh. Yeah. You're really not seeing the outdoors much these days, are you?
No, not much.
That's okay. It's more time to consume SNL content.
The timing does definitely work out.
Yeah, for sure. When I was throwing together the rundown today, because I thought we'd be off for at least 2 days, right?
You would think.
I was like, do we do an in other media segment this time? And I'm like, no, I haven't watched anything else.
There's been no other media.
In fact. Yeah. But I'm debuting my third outfit of the series because of the laundry challenges that shooting so many episodes causes. So yes, this is my wool-lined quarter zip. Thank you. I do own more than one shirt. So, Caroline, we got to update the people. With as much as we talked about the SNL 50 special, and boy did we talk. Watch yesterday's episode for proof. I have a few more notes, and one of them came immediately after we finished recording because we started talking and just pitching ideas and thinking what would be cool. You were like, we were talking about like the finale, I guess, of the season finale. And you go, I guess just Lauren needs to host. And I was like, wait a second, because he would never do sketches in any way, shape, or form. But he would speak as himself. He could totally do like a George Carlin style hosting when George Carlin hosted the premiere episode, where he just does the monologue and then the cast takes over, which would be a really interesting bookend to season 1, season 50. Again, we're not saying it's gonna happen. We're just saying like wouldn't hurt, you know. So that's one note. The second, we spent a lot of time talking about the Meryl Streep, Marty Short. Are they gonna hard launch tonight, per se?
Right.
That one is coming. Like, whatever. Everybody's been talking about it.
Yeah.
What I haven't seen a lot of, like, discussion about, but was, like, way on display all weekend, Marcelo Hernandez and Sabrina Carpenter.
I was like, what exactly is going on there?
When do we get the confirmation here? Because obviously he was flown out to come play Domingo at the LA Short and Sweet Tour concert. They were all over each other a little bit in that sketch. And then as I'm slowly catching up on all this content. I'm watching the Radio City concert. He comes out, he's going to introduce something. I don't know. I had to cut it off to come record. But he walks out to Espresso, which, again, you could see as like a reference to Domingo, but also, I don't know, man. They were seen together a lot. And then, like,
they were kind of
very giggly during the somebody posted a clip of like rehearsal of the Bridesmaids sketch. Very giggly during that, and I ship it.
I wouldn't be mad at it.
Is this what we've become? Me saying I ship it alone in my room.
We're no better than all the Twitter stans.
I know, it's so bad. But something's brewing, and that's important to talk about in this news podcast. We're all about predictions here, folks. And that's one that seems easier every day to make.
Well, it wouldn't be the first pop singer SNL cast member relationship.
Nope. Hopefully a little more successful, this one, than about 8 years ago. But sorry again. Yeah, just something to keep an eye on. Just something to keep an eye on. Just something to watch for when Sabrina does her host and musical guest. I'm gonna say in May. I'm just gonna say that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, the reason for the season, the moment we've all been waiting for. We got this announcement at least 24 hours earlier than we expected. I thought they'd wait a little bit longer to drop this on us, but here we go. We have our next lineup. Is that the face you made when you saw this on Twitter earlier, Caroline?
Yeah, I was a little bit like, okay.
Ooh. I didn't think we'd see him twice, to be perfectly honest. I thought they got it out of their system the first time.
Right.
Not that the idea of him is like a bad thing. I just think something about it didn't quite work, and just like his, monologue fell flat. It just wasn't. Now, was that the material? Was that to say anything about how he did, or was that to say more of that entire room was probably walking on eggshells just a little bit?
Yeah. A little apprehensive going into it. So, I mean, maybe this time with that kind of context, knowing what to expect, maybe it's not like that this time. Maybe it is just a little bit better of an audience, if that is. I guess this will determine whether it was the audience or whether it was the material.
True, because the seal's been broken now. You don't have everybody thinking thinking about the drama over him actually being there. But again, there's a lot of people that are still very excited, even though I think even fans of Shane Gillis thought that particular outing didn't go the greatest. But it's almost a year to the day since he hosted, once he takes over March 1st. So very interesting. Again, this his second time in 2 years. He debuted in season 49 as a host. And we'll see. I saw a tweet just today that shared this picture and said, this is the white boy Super Bowl. And
I did see that, yeah.
There's plenty of people who will turn out for this.
Yeah.
Even given the previous attempt. But while I didn't think the monologue at least went super well in the room, clearly Lorne Michaels must have. Clearly he gelled enough with the cast members too, to where it wasn't it didn't feel like something that shouldn't happen again. So those kinds of things, when you think about them, are encouraging. When you see his name again, it's like maybe it went better behind the scenes than we thought it was going to.
Right. I think the general attitude towards him over there is I think Lorne, maybe even in an interview, said that he overreacted in firing him. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, maybe everybody over there is fine, doesn't have any issues there.
Right.
Maybe everybody's past it, I don't know.
Again, enough people are still excited for this second appearance. It was mostly. It's hard to determine what was the most surprising part of it, but a big surprising part is that I really thought they would launch back into the regular season with someone who was featured in the 50th.
That is the thing that kind of struck me. I'm like, okay, so he's doing this first episode post special. Why wasn't he there, even just in the audience,
Right.
Odd choice to not have him be there at all when there were so many. Yeah, there were so many people that we looked at and said, maybe they're the next host, maybe they are, and for it to just be someone completely different who's only hosted once, it's just an interesting move.
It wouldn't have been that crazy to assume that someone who had only hosted one time and hosted last season would appear during the special. It's not like his absence could have been excused with he hosted for the first time too recently. Iowa Debris was there.
Right.
So
Sabrina Carpenter was
Sabrina
like
Carpenter was there, all
Yeah.
over it. Yeah. So
Right.
very interesting that it's like it's interesting on both sides. It's interesting that if they knew this was going to happen, he wasn't there, and it's also interesting that nobody that was ended up chosen for the return episode. So
not even like a musical guest. Yeah.
Right. Interesting two-hand switcheroo there, sleight of hand.
Trying to keep us on our toes.
And boy, do they all the time, right? We didn't think we were recording today. Here we are. And then so that's pretty much everything about Shane Gillis. Was there anything else? Any other aspects of this you were looking to explore?
I'm kind of hoping he's a big Eagles fan, so I'm kind of hoping for an acknowledgement
or an appearance, a walk-on.
That would be the dream. But
I mean, be kind of fun.
Jalen Hurts definitely will not be there. I know that man is sick and tired of interviews. He doesn't want to do anymore. I could tell. So it won't be him.
Yep.
I don't know. We'll see. I'm hoping for just at least a shout out.
Just a quick celebration at the very, very least.
Right.
That will be that is an interesting aspect of it. So be excited to see if anything comes of that. Somebody shared recently the clip of when the Cubs won the World Series and came on and like sang during Weekend Update. That was something that like I didn't fully remember. But could be an opportunity for a fun athletics sports moment at SNL.
Some of the Eagles do sing. They have a Christmas album.
Collab with Tate McRae, perhaps. We'll see. But yeah, so that's the host for March 1st, Shane Gillis, and then we got Tate McRae coming back. Also debuted in season 49. So you have an episode where both the host and the musical guest appeared on the show for the first time just last season. And they're coming back for more.
Who was she the musical guest for?
Okay, so this, I had to look it up too. I remembered her, but I did not remember the episode, and I'm wondering what feelings this is going to strike in you.
Okay.
Host Jason Momoa.
Okay.
I had no memory of this particular episode. Yes. November 2023.
I think I'm thinking of like his probably the appearance before. I can't remember anything from I can't remember anything from this past season. Interesting.
I literally can't either, and I'm kind of wondering if I missed that episode entirely because Calvin, who you lovely people, if you're watching all of our podcasts, you'll remember from being a frequent guest of Waiting for Sherry O'Terry, Calvin's wedding was the weekend of the Jason Momoa episode. So there's a very good chance I missed the entire thing just because I was at the wedding all weekend and then went home and had wicked COVID.
I remember that,
yeah, that was awesome. Again, I remember Tate McRae. I don't remember anything else about the performance, about the episode.
I'm gonna look the episode up. I need to see like just some highlights.
Here, wait. Yeah, should we? Here, I'll screen share and we'll find a breakdown, an episode breakdown. Here we go. Yeah, I knew she performed Greedy. I've seen the performance, but I haven't seen the episode. So weird. Biden Panda cold open? I did not see this. 100%. I've never seen this episode.
That is completely foreign to me.
And so Mikey Day played Joe Biden twice. I only remember him playing Joe Biden in like October. I think it was Nate Bargatze's first episode.
Okay.
And thinking like, woof.
That's
I
tough.
don't think this is the one.
No.
Interesting. Another behind-the-scenes set change from cold open into the monologue. What does that mean? Did they cut in on air?
They must. Did they?
Why would it be here? Because, like, obviously they will show...
Maybe,
They'll show the set changing when they stream the monologue on YouTube.
Yeah.
But they do it every week. That's not worth noting here. But then again, this is a fan website.
Right.
Monologue by Jason Momoa. Marine
Okay.
biologist. Like, he talked about wanting to be a marine biologist. Old-timey movies. I
I
didn't
don't
see this. I did not
know.
see this episode.
I remember the Rome thing a little bit because that's what everybody was talking about.
Oh, I do
That was
remember
the
the
whole,
Rome.
this is my Roman Empire thing. I
Yeah.
remember, I kind of remember the nightclub thing. I have like brief flashes of it,
Yeah, I do too.
but
It's so possible that, like, I did watch this episode, but in a COVID fog. Because
right.
remember, I was being ravaged at the moment
Yeah.
by the time I watched this on DVR. Okay, I do remember him as Draymond Green.
Oh, I
See,
love that one.
did I watch
Did you just see
did I watch
highlights
the
maybe?
episode, or did I scroll
Yeah.
on Twitter? I
Yeah. Did
don't
you
I,
get just
this
like clips?
the whole thing is so fuzzy. Now,
Is the tennis? I do remember that.
was this where she gets her, like, head knocked off and everything?
Yes.
So I do remember that. I
Huh.
think I had to have watched this as the fever was taking me when
I
I
think I
had
just
COVID.
don't remember. I just think it must not have been. Huh. Interesting.
So yeah, when I looked this up, because for some reason I thought Tate McRae was on in January.
Mm.
I don't know who I'm mistaking her for, you know. But yeah, hold on. Let's take a look at the 49th season, just because.
Who? Yeah. Who is it?
Who am I thinking of instead? I'm probably mistaking the Tate McRae
Oh,
episode for the Renee Rapp.
sure.
Even though I do know those performances very well, those were
Yeah.
incredible. But yeah,
Hmm.
wow. Okay, so all right, it's kind of there. It's kind of coming back. But for some reason, when I first looked up, when was she on? I was like, Jason Momoa, because
He hosted?
obviously we thought about Jason Momoa relatively recently because Donna,
Right.
the host dresser, called him out
Yes.
specifically, and so I was like, oh, that's so funny. Like, the part of the joke is it's been 8 years and she's still thinking about seeing Jason Momoa in his underwear, and I'm like, nope,
Nope.
a little more recently than that.
Yeah.
So wow, there you go. Yeah, so that's the lowdown on Tate McRae. I didn't realize that she even had new music, but I guess she's also going to be on Las Culturistas next week,
Yeah.
so she must have
Yeah.
something coming.
She's been putting out a few singles in the last
Hmm.
few months,
Okay, gotcha.
I think.
I'm just not in the loop. That's okay. That's all right. Uh, Clearly, I've erased a whole episode from my memory, so it happens. Um, so that's Tate McRae again. Shane Gillis and Tate McRae both debuted last year and are both coming back for their second time. Now we get into the meat and potatoes
Mm-hmm.
of this. Was a really fun one to read because I've been
Yeah.
requesting this for a long time. I was hoping that this would happen at some point during the Chromatica album, but that was in the middle of COVID. I understand.
Right.
I remember my prediction specifically was, and I wonder if I can find like a screenshot of something I sent to RJ. I predicted months in advance that John Mulaney was going to host on Halloween. I said
Mm.
John Mulaney host John Mulaney, musical guest Lady Gaga was my like dream Halloween episode that day. And I was half right. I was half right.
Yeah,
Just
that was
like I was
close.
half right with Dua Lipa last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was who did I predict? It was like that was early May. I don't remember. I had a different host obviously in mind.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
my prediction for the May 4th episode was host Conan O'Brien, musical guest Dua
Ugh,
Lipa,
I would have loved.
because that was the same week that Conan's travel show came out. So I was like,
Mm.
everything's coming up
Yeah.
roses, and again, half right. Every now and then I hit it,
Right.
And remember, we have 4 opportunities to guess right still.
So
I
yeah,
listed them all out last week, and now I don't remember. Who did we have? We had
Kiki Palmer,
Kiki Palmer,
Sabrina,
Sabrina Carpenter, Bill Murray,
Io. Oh yeah.
and yeah, I guess Io Debris. Yeah. So there's more to come in terms of predictions. This is her 5th time as musical guest. Now that raises important questions.
Yeah.
We did just do a 5-timers club.
That's it. Do musicians get 5-timers jackets?
See, I think they do, because like long before, like I think Paul Simon does not have 4 hostings under him, or 5
But he has
hostings,
been,
but he's been musical
yeah.
guest often enough. And so, I don't think they would do one just because, like, of what you're
They
describing. It's like,
just,
it's a little bit different, and we just did it not long
right.
ago. Like,
Yeah.
there was one year, I think it was season 43, in like the 2017, 2018, where it was like almost every other, it was like essentially every other week somebody else was hosting for their 5th time. It was like Jonah Hill, Scarlett Johansson, somebody else, all
Probably,
achieved their
yeah.
5th time in season 43. And so like we got one 5-timer sketch that year, maybe, but the rest of them were just like, no.
I think the
Melissa McCarthy,
5-timers. Okay, that
maybe.
makes sense. Yeah.
This might have been Will Ferrell's 5th time hosting, too.
2017.
It wasn't John Mulaney. It was John Mulaney's 1st time. Tina Fey had already hosted 5 times by this point, I think.
Need her back. Get her back.
Yeah, that was her 6th time hosting. And then, was I right about Jonah Hill hosting this season? I'm pretty sure I remember that being a thing.
2017. I'm trying to think of like what was coming out at the time. And who would have been promoting what that year.
He did not host that year. Who was it? Oh, he hosted the following season. And there was a 5-timers club sketch for that. But let's see. Am I right about Scarlett Johansson too? Maybe it wasn't like consolidated to just this season, but it was like,
but it was, yeah.
Like season 42 to season 44, you had like a ton of people reaching that 5-time mark. It was really like kind of bizarre.
That would make sense.
I wonder if Will Ferrell. Okay, so that was his 4th time hosting, and his 5th time was Thanksgiving 2019. In this particular episode, so like that late 2010s period. I know I'm keep widening my own margins, but it felt like it all happened at once. Just because, like, especially growing up and knowing like a little bit about the 5-timers club, when Justin Timberlake achieved that milestone, that was the 2nd time that we had seen the 5-timers club. Like, the 5-timers club debuted with Tom Hanks in 1990, and to my knowledge, we didn't see it again until that Justin Timberlake sketch. Like, that episode is what made it recurring.
I'm wondering, were people hitting the 5-time mark in that stretch, or were they just really mixing it up and not having people back 5 times between?
I think that's more what it was like, this was like a throwaway joke in Tom Hanks's monologue in 1990, ostensibly written by Conan O'Brien. He appears in the sketch, but who knows if he actually like wrote the sketch.
Yeah.
And so this was written as like a throwaway bit for that episode, and really didn't happen again. I'm trying to read that they did do one with the Platinum Lounge, That was for people who've hosted more than 12 times.
Which, yeah.
We've only seen that one time. Oh, okay. So yeah, no, that's correct. It was made like the idea of the Five Timers Club was presented during Tom Hanks's monologue and was not referenced outright again until the Justin Timberlake episode.
That was the first time that it was an actual, like,
That it was like a thing.
a
that they
location, and yeah.
returned it back to, and I wonder why. I wonder why for 23 years
Well,
it
I'm
lied dormant.
looking at people who hit the 5 mark in that time, and there are 7 people that did.
There are a ton, yeah.
Between-
Drew Barrymore,
Yeah, Drew
is
Barrymore,
Christopher
Walken, Bill
Walken.
Murray, yeah.
even Alec Baldwin since then, since the 1990 episode.
Yeah.
So yeah, really interesting. So there's this list on Wikipedia that I'm looking at is every time Five Timers was not just presented as a sketch but referenced. Period.
Yeah.
So like Scarlett Johansson was presented with a Five Timers jacket at the end of her 2017 hosting. Melissa McCarthy, same thing. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson got it in the monologue, but there wasn't an outright like dedicated sketch to it. So
that feels like a more recent thing, the actual like lounge sketch.
Yeah. So it was never thought of again between 1990 and like, I don't know, 2010 maybe. Somebody started thinking about it again.
Yeah, I wonder who brought it back.
I know. It's very interesting to like dig into the well again. You know? And then obviously we've seen it all the time. It's like, it's a thing now. It was in the SNL
it's coming
experience.
now. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, super, super fascinating. I've actually never thought about the fact that it was so long between those two sketches when it feels like it was around all the time.
Right.
It's just been around all the time lately.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Since in the last 10-ish years.
Right. So anyway, that's again, all the tangents that we discover as we record these episodes are so fascinating.
We thought we'd have nothing to talk about.
Right, exactly. But so I don't think we're going to see a big blowout thing like they just did in the Martin Short episode, but it would be cool if she did manage to be presented with the jacket. It'd be interesting at least. So yeah. Her 5th time as musical guest, her 2nd time as host, and she was the musical guest both of those times. But it's interesting because like her 2011 musical guest appearance with host Justin Timberlake, obviously it's not a for sure hosting, but it's interesting looking back how like I feel like they were trying her out because she was in 3 or 4 of those sketches that night. She, right off the top of my head, she did the Lickerville is what that particular one was, and then she did What's That Name and played against Justin Timberlake. Both of them played as themselves. So that that's her totals, and it brings our total of the people announced right here. All 3 of them have connections to season 49.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Shane Gillis, obviously that was his first time hosting. It was Tate McRae's first time as musical guest, and Lady Gaga made that introduction for Bad Bunny, and everyone was like shocked. It was like, oh my God,
what's she
just
doing
walked
here?
On to do that. Yeah. So super interesting again that we're like dipping into the more recent well. It's kind of fascinating. Here's another big number. She is now the 10th person / act, and I'll get to that in a second, to be the host and musical guest for the same episode multiple times.
Only 10.
This is her 2nd time doing being hosted musical guest the first time was in November of 2013. I thought there were less people than that. You're surprised at how
I
few?
just feel like a lot of views, I guess doing it multiple times, yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
because we've seen so many lately. Like it
That's what
was.
I think I'm thinking of. I feel like it's been pretty common in more recent seasons,
Mhm,
but I guess there haven't been a ton of repeats yet.
right.
Hmm.
So, the full list, if you care to hear it, let me hear you, folks. Paul Simon, clearly, he's been hosting musical guests 4 times. Lily Tomlin is
Musical
credited as a
guest.
host and musical guest. Um, I'm not going to give one of the music performances she did a platform, but you're free to look up and see what exactly she did.
Ooh.
Let's just say she may have been one of the blurred faces in the
Oh,
canceled sketches montage during the 50th.
all right.
Next was Garth Brooks. We talked about that on a previous episode when he hosted. He was a host musical guest as himself in both
Mm-hmm.
roles one time, and then as him and Chris Gaines another.
Does that count?
One could argue, because they did present it like it was a completely different person.
Right.
Wink, wink. Um, Britney
One of the
Spears.
funniest things
Sorry.
anyone's ever done, I think.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Like,
fantastic.
what?
Like why?
You
Why
were
did
at
you
the
feel
height
the
of your
need?
popularity as a country artist in the 90s? What?
And not even like it'd be one thing to do that as like an SNL bit. No, he released an
Yeah.
album
Fully
as this
committed.
man.
Yeah.
Fully
His
into it.
mind.
Yeah, yeah. He would all this genre bending that's going on right now. Garth Brooks and Chris Gaines did it first, baby. Britney Spears is the next one that made it
Okay.
multiple times. She did it pretty quickly, like almost back to back
I
seasons,
would think, yeah.
if not back to back seasons. And then Jennifer Lopez was the next one, and Justin Timberlake has done it 3 times.
Yeah, that's the one I immediately was like, well, I know Timberlake's done it a bunch.
Yep, for sure. So Mick Jagger did it as himself in 2012, but the entire Rolling Stones hosted an episode in like 1976, maybe?
Okay, yeah.
In 1978, the entire band also hosted. So I'd say that counts for
I think, yeah, we can count
Mick
it.
Jagger. And then Miley Cyrus has done it twice, and Drake has done it twice, which I
Really?
forgot about.
I forgot he hosted it all.
That was also pretty back to back. It was once in 2014 and then once in 2016, and he was hosting musical guest both times. And now Lady Gaga joins that group in a couple weeks, having done multiple episodes as host and musical guest. It's there's people you think of that are surprising that they aren't on this list. Like the first one is Ariana Grande,
Yeah.
but they booked Stevie Nicks for her
Right.
second hosting, and honestly, I think most of the reason that she's not already on this list was the falling out, the breakup with Pete Davidson.
Right. She kind of stayed away for a
for
while.
a long time. Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if the next person that joins this list is Bad Bunny, because they seem to just adore him over there.
Yeah.
So maybe not this season, since he just did some stuff in the 50th, but
yeah, and he's about to tour
maybe
like all summer. So
so maybe early next season.
Yeah, could be. But yeah, that's everything. Any other feelings about Lady Gaga coming back other than like pure thrill and excitement?
I'm excited. I assume she'll do Abracadabra.
Mm-hmm.
And
One
then
can hope.
do we think she does Die with a Smile and we get Bruno? Or do we
Ooh, now
think she just
that's
does
interesting.
second song Brand New?
No idea. When does the album come out?
I have no idea.
I thought it was May, but oh no, it comes out March 7th. So yeah,
Oh,
very
okay.
very likely
Well,
we get
yeah.
a second song.
Yeah.
That
Whenever the new single. Oh, maybe she'll do Disease.
Yeah, she could. And it's so interesting because now that we've seen, this kind of goes into my theory that every part of this season, the documentaries, the music documentary, the concert, the special,
Mm-hmm.
and every episode of the actual season is intended to be presented together.
Yeah.
It's all the same anniversary experience, because I saw a lot of people complaining that Lady Gaga took her 2 opportunities, one at the concert, and then was she in the special? She was in the special, right?
She was there, but I don't think she had any screen time, if I'm remembering right.
Yeah. Well,
She was on the
she
carpet.
was there and didn't perform. I know people were like,
Yeah.
people were saying like, really, you play Shallow and Dick in a Box during the
I love
concert
it.
and don't hit us with Abracadabra? She wasn't going to do that
Yeah.
because she knew she was going to do it on the show.
Also, why would she perform a brand new song during the SNL 50th? Use your brains, people. That's very obviously not what was going on
Not what
there.
we're doing here, right? So just really fascinating that like yet again we're face to face with the fact that there have been no accidents this year.
Yeah.
And everything is supposed to be considered one project, you know.
Seeing her in the concert now, I think this puts it into more context because I was kind of like, oh, I guess she's ramping up for her album. Interesting that she's here because I don't necessarily like associate her with SNL like first thought.
Mm-hmm.
But I do feel like her doing that concert, doing the Lonely Island bit, and then doing her own song was kind of them being like, remember how good she is when she's on this show?
You're gonna love her in the real
Remember
show.
how funny she is? Like, and then there, yeah, here we go.
That's true. Just planting the seeds again.
Yeah.
Everything intentional.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it. You know who didn't love the SNL 50 special? IndieWire. Ooh,
Really?
They released an article that was all over this special, calling it like a mess and
What?
just like pointless. And I was like, we didn't watch the same thing, man. Like, I don't know what to
I
tell
haven't
you.
heard, I don't think I've seen anybody, like, even people on Twitter who love to be like, SNL's not funny, were like, that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
I haven't really
Yeah.
heard anything bad about it.
It's pretty wild. Like,
That's
to
interesting.
the point where like I just fully don't see where they're coming from.
And if the writer just has a little bit of a chip on their shoulder about something.
Yeah, well, it was someone from work who like told me about the article, and he was like, they do love to hate everything.
Yeah.
But even like, because we were talking about the special at work today, and he was like, we were talking about how much we loved it, and then he showed me that article, and then was like, this is just what they do. Like, they're extremely hypercritical of everything, even when it like doesn't really deserve it. Like, was it a mess in some places? Yeah. It was a 3.5-hour show with 100 special guests
Right.
who don't do this every week. Yes, there were some missed cues. Should it not have happened? Absolutely not. Like, what are we talking about here?
Did it promise to be like the best, like the most high quality thing you've ever seen?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so. I think it promised to be like a good time and like a fun way to celebrate the show. So if it did that, then isn't that all we asked for?
Right. Yeah, I agree. I was floored by that. But well, that's our slate of our next shows. Again, we didn't expect to get together like this so soon.
We get a week off and then back in it.
Right back to it. So, Caroline, any final thoughts before we actually take a break?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I'm excited I feel like it's been so long since there's been a new episode. That isn't true. But so much has happened since the last episode it feels like such a long time. So I'm excited to get back into it.
Yep. Absolutely. Just it might feel a little weird that first episode back with just seeing the studio like normal again,
Right.
So I don't know. It's gonna be fun. But I've got to get in the building. I think I need to fully focus, lock in, and try for one of those standby tickets.
Yeah.
before the end of the year, because we don't have many episodes left
No.
before they close up for the summer. So more on that as it develops. If I get the drawing, are you coming?
Yeah. Well, no, it'd have to be like day of, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I could get there day of.
I would get confirmation on a Thursday.
And I would have to be there
for the line reservation, and then we would have to stand in line Friday night.
It depends on when it is.
We'll talk about
if it's feasible at all, I will come.
Yeah.
I will be there.
Okay. Because I'm unavailable March 1st. I am available March 8th. So could you imagine if we got in there? That's not going to happen. What am I talking about? But I'm going to try, folks. I'm going to try. So, Caroline, I'll see you in the room for Lady Gaga, Lady Gaga.
Yeah, we'll be there.
All right. Have a good one. Bye, everybody.